leadership process. Now, the brief that we had was that the client wanted standardization of leadership experience aligned to the company culture and subscribed leadership processes. Now, what was happening was that, we know the most difficult time in a corporate is the time of appraisals. People don't feel appreciated at the time of appraisals, and leaders, because they're holding so many of these appraisal, conversations, they tend to step over other people, and they tend to not manage emotions of the person who is talking to them. And people start attriting, they start moving out of the organization. A lot of that happens. That said, what this specific company wanted was to create a standardization of leadership process. Now, by standardization, it doesn't mean robotic following of step 1, step 2, but it is to say that everyone has their own style, and they are more than welcome to leverage their own natural style. However, there are some things that this specific company did not want to negotiate on, which are that everyone has to be respected, cared for, and things like that. And the way we communicate also has to be standardized, no matter which tone. I mean, no matter what is your personal natural style, you must adhere to certain areas of leadership processes and follow what the company subscribes to. Sorry about that. So in the solution, what we did was we simulated the real life leadership conversation sessions based on brief using interactive storytelling. So this is a simulation in which we used interactive storytelling, and we created open-ended branch story. So you know what that is. So typically the way we create scenarios is that every question will have 4 options, and if you choose the wrong option, then you get a feedback, and then either you lose score, and you basically have to select the right question to move forward. Now, in this open-ended branch story style simulation, what we did was there were no right or wrong questions. There were just ways in which you would handle that situation. Each situation would again get into a further branching basis that input given, and basically it was an open-ended maze that you have to navigate yourself through. And what would matter is how you're taking your decisions. And just the way we did in the first simulation that I showed you, that all options, all decisions that were presented to people were aligned to either certain competencies or certain other things that people are required to learn. And in the end, we are able to create, so to say, an analytical board where we can say that this person as a leader displayed so much score in a specific competency. Guys, this is pure gold when it comes to our ability to quantify people's behavior. And we've been hearing about this all throughout the Learning Design Summit. How do we quantify behavior and things like that? Simulations, they give us the tool to make this as black and white as possible. So I would say that don't get caught up with the myth that behaviors can't be quantified. Yes, they can be quantified, maybe not to a tactile degree, but yes, to a good degree where it's reflective of what the person is likely to behave in similar situations. Okay, so what we did was we mapped different responses to competencies and provided a diagnostic of their competency application. What was the impact? Again, we created a personalized leadership profile for all leaders that can be used for further development opportunities. And it was a big jump over the client's existing strategy, which was to use case study. Now, interesting discussion, guys, I want to share with you. Once we were called in and they said that, hey, we are currently doing a case study for our leadership development. So I said, what is the case study? So the case study was that, everyone gets around and everyone's given a paper. On that paper is the case study. And then they are required to debate and, have a group conversation on what somebody could have done. Now, and I spoke to them about, herd mentality and what it takes for us to pretend in a certain way, and typically in a way that we are not naturally in a group-like situation. So we guys are all aware of it, that you can't debate leadership, because if it comes to talking, that all of us are great at talking and we can talk all great things, but when it comes to doing, people tend to fall short, or they tend to act in ways other than what they had prescribed. So when it comes to leadership, it is important to put people in the situation, because only when the stress mounts up and people know that they are being graded, they are being watched, and they have to act in a certain way, after pretending for first few options, the real you takes over, and then it will make you do the way that you would in a similar situation. So that's the good thing about simulation, that you can leverage. So it will it's a place, unlike in psychometrics, where or certain other type of personality quizzes where you could fake who you are. Simulation does give you a more stressful opportunity to put people in stressful situations where they forget that they are pretending, and when the clock is ticking and you're being watched, you tend to behave in the way that's most natural to you, and that's a good thing that we wanted to capture in the simulation. So guys, let me know if it is going good, if you're liking what you're seeing, or if you'd like me to wrap up or talk about something else. I'll be happy to do that, but for now let me just play this piece of the simulation.
Welcome to the case study on internal job posting. You are the manager Aaron, and here is your team member James, who is applying for an IJP. Please input your name and click begin to start.
I love this company for many reasons: the brand, its culture, the people, the value system, and importantly the career development opportunity alongside the associated perks. I have completed 3.5 years in my current role and have been contemplating what comes next. Every year, I have been rated E and received a decent compensation hike in the annual review. I share a friendly relationship with my manager. I am the most tenured person in my team of 3 people. The Mail Digest comes every Thursday, which lists possible internal job postings, IJP. Previously I had not opened these emails, but 45 days back, I opened the list and saw a role in training which interested me. So, I applied. My goal is simple: I want to stay in this company, and so I went through the IJP process. As bad luck would have it, last week, I was informed that I did not make the cut for the role. I am disheartened.
You're his manager, who has just found out from a colleague about him applying for an IJP. This has really surprised and infuriated you.
What? James has applied for an IJP and I'm hearing about this from others and not James himself? That's not something a decent employee would do. If he wanted to move out of my team, he should have at least had a discussion with me first.
What are you going to do?
Call him right now, speak with him and find out what's happening. Let me schedule a dedicated time to discuss the issue with him. Speak to another team member close to James to get insights.
Choose your response.
You are currently in an emotionally charged state. The conversation could get out of hand, and emotions may get the better of you. It's always better to be curious and calm before holding a discussion. Check your mood elevator. Being in a low mood may not empower you to reach a positive outcome. Can you identify which moods you and James are in? Can you identify the lens which is influencing your thinking? You are somewhere between irritated and bothered to angry and hostile, and the employee is probably between worried and anxious to defensive and insecure. That's not a positive mood at either end, and it's not likely to give you a good outcome. Great. You've realized that you are in an emotionally charged state. It's always better to get calm before holding a discussion. Mood Elevator is a good tool to assess your current mood. Lower moods are not conducive to producing positive outcomes. Can you identify?
What I wanted to show you was, and this specific simulation that I was just playing out for you, I realize is a little longer and we won't be able to, play out the whole thing. So what we really did here that I want to talk about is that we created an open branched storytelling method, an interactive storytelling method, in which we, created this whole scenarios and stories, and provided people options that they could choose to deal with the situation. If they clicked on an option, it did not say right or wrong. However, it did tell them what is this specific strategy that you are taking. Is it applicable to some of the leadership language that you are already aware of? If not, then it would say that, and it'll allow people to go with their choices. And the choices did not hit a wall in the sense that this is the wrong choice, go back. So it allowed them to move into that conversation with that choice already now part of reality. So it's a new style of content delivery, a little step up on the typical scenario based learnings that we create. The challenge really here was to be able to create a maze of various actions and situations where there were, so to say, very few dead ends, and you could always find your way back and still get to the output that you wanted. And it was filled out with it's like having a coach on the side where somebody would pop up and give you the explanation of how you're doing to move forward.